Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jan from Justice for Hire. And, all the time we like to look at our heroes and ask, what can we do better as a company as we're growing Justice for Hire? And what do our heroes need from us and in their own lives so they can make the best out of hero work in Justice for Hire? Being a hero, showing up for other folks, um, being the best for the clients on the app. And Ragdoll has really shown that she is dedicated as a hero. She's shown that she's shown up for so many missions. She's put herself out there, and people have been inspired. Heroes have come to JFH because they've seen Ragdoll's work. And so I think it's really, really important for us not only to take a moment to honor Ragdoll, but to also, so thank you, Ragdoll, but also to find out, Ragdoll, what we can do better and what your goals are as a hero, and what really even brought you to JFH in the first place. So I think that those are three different questions, and I would just love to know from you, first of all, how are you? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing really well. This is in our effort to make Justice for Hire worldwide. We just need to make sure that down to everybody's neighborhood, that heroes feel great about the app experience and about what the jobs that they're getting on the app, about the people they're encountering on the app, and safety and more. So I'm really looking to figure out for your experience. I've seen a lot of patrol missions. I'm sure you're keeping the neighborhood safe. And I'm happy that clients in your neighborhood are asking for such things. So to know that people found out about Justice for Hire near you and can hire you to help keep that neighborhood safe, to me is a really big deal. And it shows that what we're doing is working. We're building a heroes culture. So how can we help you be a better hero?
I kind of the fact that I use more towards the occult. It's quite a difficult situation due to I don't quite interact with many people, mostly just the people here at Mystery Academy and T are the main two groups I interact with much. So it would be amazing if Mystery Academy approves it, to be able to work with other heroes. That would be almost incredible.
Mm. Well, I know of several heroes that have mentioned you already, just in my conversations with them. So I think that there's already a desire to collaborate with you on various hero missions. So I think that goal, that checkbox, that box is already checked.
The thing is, I never actually heard a word much of it from anyone, so I'm quite a little bit surprised.
Mm. So I think one of the questions that might help if we answer it for people who they may not be asking, that they may want to ask it, but not necessarily know the words. And so sometimes it's really helpful to answer a question before it's asked. And I think that question for you, for people that want to collaborate with you, is what kind of missions, what kind of challenges do you see in your neighborhood, in your surroundings, that you need to stand up as a hero and address, and maybe other heroes can say, oh, you know what, I can help there.
More thing, there isn't as many, but more dealing with information and just making sure that people are protected, especially with what happened a couple months ago with the man in the cowboy hat. Making sure to keep patrol and making sure to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, you showing up on keeping eyes out on that scenario has been really, really important, and a bunch of heroes have been having this challenge nationwide. So and I would please still keep your eye out for any cowboys you might see, because that's been I had a little encounter with some of the New York heroes, and definitely got some bruises from that. So, but we're working it all out. So, um, as we work through these challenges as a community, keeping everyone safe, I hear you there, and I know that this might be helpful for some of our messaging to clients as well, to let clients in your area know that how essentially that you're capable of a lot more than we've seen so far. And I think that's something that's really, really important for the clients to know, because they might think that JFH in their neighborhood is really just for, let's say, patrol. And
rescuing a cat of a tree.
Exactly. What else can they, or what other challenges does a person in your neighborhood have? And I think that a lot of times people lean toward crime only, and hence us having a lot of real life superheroes joining Justice for Hire. But I think that it's really important for clients to know that whatever they might have a challenge with, you might need a hero. So it could simply be having a conversation, and maybe, hey, I have no one to talk to about something that I feel. Can I call upon a hero to talk about it? And I think that I've been in situations where it's extreme pressure of like there's some life-threatening stuff going on. Then there's other stuff that's really more emotional pressure, that is more subtle, and people just need to be heard. And so that whole spectrum, I know you're there and you're ready for that.
Yeah, it seems like mostly me and my friends, from which was you won't kind of saw my friend in that one special mission. I've meant deal more with emotional. I've seen my friend deal with more dangerous issues. As we can tell from how it went from a fall, maybe the living dolls should stay to the emotional side. Maybe anything that can't rip open easily should do the other part.
So, question there then. What can you tell me a bit about your friends, a bit about about this team that you have? Because I've only seen them in passing on your social media, as I did research on your background. So I'm really interested. Are these? Do
Did
you
you see
work with
the
them?
video we posted yesterday, or did you?
I did not see.
Last week, or something.
I didn't see a video last week. I saw something that you posted a while back with, and it looks like you have a whole team of like a ragdoll team. I saw the complimentary masks, and so I'm wondering what's going on. Is there a team name? Who are some of the other members? Are they going to be joining JFH and going on missions with you, or do they already go on missions with you and they're not a part of JFH, which is also totally fine?
Do you mean my friends who you guys would commonly known in the white mask as puppeteer, or my other very special friend in the green mask known as T?
Both of them. This is all very new to me, and I'm sure to any other heroes that might watch our meeting, they can learn from this as well.
We are under the title of Mystery Academy because that's where we've all come from.
Mystery Cabinet?
No, Mystery Academy.
Oh, Mystery Academy. Okay.
The puppeteer is a special friend. Is quite a special friend of mine. We didn't see eye to eye when we first met. I wasn't sure if they were a friend or a foe. But later on, as you eventually hopefully I'll eventually be able to illustrate. We became close friends. T is like my best friend in the world. I'm not sure if I'd know how to exist without her. And I do have a couple other friends, but they wouldn't do missions. They're small. They're about this tall. So they can't quite do much, nor have they figured out how to use a door. So
So when it comes to you guys coming together on missions, in the how can we help your team? Do you see an opportunity for them on Justice for Hire, or are they still figuring out their own hero work?
yeah, I did. The puppeteer is a bit iffy. They mainly just have an Instagram, and they sometimes don't remember that exists. I kind of talked to her and kind of suggested, but she has an Instagram and a Twitter. She doesn't use social media that much, so hopefully eventually we'll all be on there.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So when it comes to you now, what are your goals as a hero?
One of mine was to practice my magic and other were to hopefully get the higher up people with Mystery Academy to go, here, I can exist outside the building for 5 minutes and not implode. I shall survive without needing to be supervised from 2 inches away.
Interesting. So you want to practice more of your training in the field, essentially. And yes. So what would you say is one of, if not the biggest value that you offer to people as a hero?
Myself or my other teammate, like puppeteer?
You in particular.
More on the particular of emotional support. In my opinion, because I'm better at comforting others. I almost me and one of my friends is yin to yang. One of us is a little more positive, while the other, I'm pretty sure, can only speak in sarcasm. No, that's not T, that's the other one.
So emotional support. So that's a huge deal, because emotional support heroes are real heroes. And I'd say that so many of the challenges that we might deal with, whether it's even this cowboy challenge that we're dealing with, or some of the ninja stuff we've been hearing about.
Oh boy, I guess I must be a little bit late on the news. Maybe I should stop focusing on watching wrestling as much to figure out what in the world is going on.
Well, I think that there are challenges that if people had emotional support heroes earlier on, they wouldn't have become, these forces, these villainous forces. So I think we need to put ourselves in a position to really empower emotional support heroes. And when it comes to doing exactly that, what types of, because this will help us get different and new clients on Justice for Hire for you, for your skill set. So when it comes to emotional support, what kind of work would you like to do to help clients? Like, for example, Is it coming to going and just being a shoulder to cry on? It had someone to be able to talk to. Is it coming and maybe going and visiting somebody once on a regular basis that might just need a companion? And like what kind of—
Sorry to interrupt, but kind of the two examples of shoulder cry on and the thing, but with how you mentioned some people with villains, like just being able to talk to them and possibly see from their point of view how they got to this point, to see if there's other ways to help people so they don't have to get to that desperation.
So that's really interesting because, you know, one of the things that I feel like Justice for Hire can do, because it's very easy to misunderstand what we're doing as a vigilante app. And what we're really talking about, again, is building a heroes culture where people show up for each other in their own lives. People become heroes in their own lives, and they show up for other people, how heroes show up. So when it comes to that, I really see an opportunity for us to be able to reach out to more people in your area and say, potential clients, and say, hey, look, you know, there are institutions that you can hire to talk to people and all this other stuff. But the challenge with those institutions is there's a stigma. And the stigma of saying, oh, hey, I need emotional help here from this institution, or if I need you know, this type of person to come every week, versus just being able to call up a JFH Hero and just be like, hey, you want to just talk. And it doesn't have to be, we don't need much information outside of that. It's just knowing that there's somebody that wants to have a conversation and you being able to show up for them. I think that's a real low lift for people who might think that the other more established organizations are too far, are too much associated with whatever stigma that they may not want to be associated with. So you're giving me lots of ideas on how to improve the amount of clients and the amount of missions, the emotional support missions that we get from these clients on the JFH app. So thank you for that.
And plus, sometimes with the traditional systems, depending on the person that you go to talk to, you never know if they're actually able to be supportive or if something bad will happen. Because I've heard stories of that before.
Yes, I'm taking a note right now of what you just said too, because that's a really, really great note. Emotional support missions. Here we go. So what would you like to see for Ragdoll, let's say in 2 years? In 2 years, what would you like people to know about Ragdoll?
Hopefully know a bit more about me and my friends, and hopefully, it feels a little bit egotistical, but hopefully I'll have a lot more followers and stuff on Instagram and all that type of stuff with people who enjoy me and my friends and the content I enjoy making.
Okay. Team, more followers. Writing all this down, because this is all stuff that we want to help you achieve. We want to help you achieve this stuff, and us helping you achieve that stuff means that we're doing the right thing. You know, that's what JFH is for. JFH is to make sure that the heroes, that the people that are willing to step up as heroes, that other people know that and can call upon them, and to essentially be bright lights, leaders in our society. You know, because we need heroes in our society, and those are the people we should be looking at, and not looking up to in the sense that they're above us, but looking up to in the sense that, oh, we can rise to that position too, so we can all be eye to eye.
Like
So
everyone being equals and no like putting any people on pedestals and all those type of connections.
exactly. So I think that's a noble. What is your biggest fear as a hero?
That there'll be someone I try and reach out to help, but I'm just not able to help them. That I'm just not able to do the thing that's able to help them.
Hmm. Huh. That's really interesting. So please, I want to make sure I don't put words in your mouth. So always feel free to correct me when I say this. So your biggest fear is showing up to a mission potentially um, that you can't actually help on.
Pretty much.
It's very powerful. That's a it's a very very powerful um, idea that anytime we have these fears, we really have to look at them because and it's helpful for me to hear this because looking at them with you helps me understand um, how important it is for us to really evaluate skill sets and the requests from the clients and just keep getting better at that because I want to make sure that we always stay away from that and stay toward your things that are best missions that are best suited for your abilities. So and there's of course always going to be challenges on any mission. And that's why people use the app. So because these things are challenging. So it's really a matter of also just providing training as well. I mean, while to a certain extent we're the heroes that come to us have their own training. They have their own skill sets that they bring to us, but we want to be able to offer training as well. So I'm interested in you were going to say something. So please say it.
I do have a question about the fellow heroes with different training and power sets. I was wondering if any of them lean more towards the occult or magic.
So I would say there are several heroes that lean more toward the occult, more toward working. There are heroes that work with esoteric powers, and I think that's one of the most challenging things when it comes to us as a hero app. It is challenging for people for people want to understand that there are things in the world that especially in Western culture we don't necessarily fully understand, and there are people who have access to these abilities that can make our lives better, and anybody can access these abilities, but you have to be trained. And I think that there are heroes like Guru Merkaba and Yulong who are more trained in the esoteric occult practices of various cultures. And they bring that insight to their very, very intense missions. These are they're going out and they're stopping crime. They're having to deal with physical force, but they have the ability to utilize these occult practices in how they approach these challenging, very, very overt physical scenarios. Like this is, these guys are, some of them are, they're crime fighting sometimes, and they still need to use these occult practices. So I think that's really, really interesting. And when it comes to the training, and again, like, where Justice for Hire really just puts the hero on one side, puts the hero to the mission. But on another side, we want to make sure that we're offering as much training as possible to help heroes enhance their abilities, whatever those abilities are. And I'm wondering for you, is there a type of training that you would like to see from the Justice for Hire, offered by the Justice for Hire app and the team, or maybe we can reach out to somebody to offer some form of training that would be of benefit to you.
Because I've seen most of the training. There is some, even though it's kind of hard for me to explain maybe some more towards simple strategy and things like that, being able to like talk the way out of the situation before risking immediately going to punch them in the face.
Yes.
Like before trying to play MMA, how about we try and have a polite conversation?
That's wonderful. It's wonderful that you say that. Have you seen our talk with, we had a community talk with former FBI negotiator Chip Massey last week.
I haven't gotten a chance to see that. Because I was like, going to myself with the factor that I have about 600 tons of forgetfulness and 600 tons of energy sometimes. Like, should we just put a sticky note somewhere that says, make sure to watch that?
So I think it sounds like you're specifically asking for de-escalation training. And that's, I think that's really, really interesting. So we will absolutely have something like that in the very near future, some form of de-escalation training. Because I really want to make sure that if you feel that there is an opportunity for you to benefit from having more understanding of how to get into a scenario, how to confront somebody that might be very tough to deal with, and to be able to bring their level down to a state of calm, I think it's really, really powerful. So I think that's going to be a really major offering for the community. So that'll be at the top of my list. So we covered your fear. We covered your hope for the next few years. We covered the types of missions that you feel matched with your skill set. And the desire for more training, and also, of course, for more team ups with other heroes. So is there anything that I'm leaving out? This is a question I love to ask people. Are there any questions that you think I should ask you?
There was one thing that I'm not sure how I'd phrase it as a question, but just because it was one of the clips that were used in one of the advertisements, I'm like, I kind of want to put a clarification. It's kind of, because I don't, as I mentioned a lot with the occult, function in the normal basis of reality. As we can examine from my fingers, I'm not quite human. Not a fae as originally, I believe. We kind of just went with, well, guess what has button eyes and has fingers that look like this.
Well, I think that that's one of that is something that people learn as they dive deeper into your character, into understanding you as the hero that you are, and learning about this. Because from my understanding, when people see Ragdoll, there is a lot of mystery to what you're doing. People are trying to understand, who is this? You have a very, very unique styling as a hero. And I think that that's really, really, really important to recognize that to a certain extent, branding is important for heroes. And people are going to look at a hero and say, well, if there are multiple heroes in your area, you stand out by nature of how you've presented yourself. And I think that the more people see Ragdoll, and they see your aesthetic, and they understand that it's connected to just a deeper experience of who you are and who your team is, people are going to want to learn more. They're not only going to want to hire you, but they're also going to want to understand you. And I think that that is one of the most important things that we could be going for when it comes to building a heroes culture, is building a bridges of understanding of each other. So I think in any of the Justice for Hire ads that we've put out, where we showcase some of our heroes and some of the great work that they've done, I think that the moments that you're in are the ones that people see it, people that resonate with it are going to keep on wanting more, wanting to know more.
Because I'm like, be like, maybe we should kind of put a warning out there, like, hey, this is not something that normally takes place or is a fairy. This factor I originally popped up due to kind of having a form of an amnesia episode where I kind of ran into a wall, believing that I'm like, maybe we should clarify that I'm not from Pixie Hollow.
Well, I think that I think that you're giving, when it comes to how we share Justice for Hire as a movement across the country and of course the world, I really do think people are going to get that understanding of you, and especially as in the coming months, when we really start pushing even more into the mainstream media perspective. When people start seeing more of what we're doing, because our heroes are doing such great work, it's going to put us in a position where we're going to get a lot more happen. And you know what? With that said, I'm going to press pause on in character and out of character. Anybody who's been watching this, we've been doing this whole interview in character, and I want to talk out of character for a second. And I think that's really, really important to for Ragdoll. I want to share this. And now I'm speaking as Jan, as producer Jan, not Jan as Justice for Hire founder.
I understand the difference. I'm just Ragdoll.
So I think we are still figuring out, when it comes to the storyline of Justice for Hire. We are still figuring out how to hold space for heroes that have powers that are more than supernatural. And oftentimes people come into JFH and they might ask, "Oh, can I fly? Can I do this?" And we for multiple reasons, we say this is a reality-based action series. And action doesn't necessarily mean doing martial arts or fighting. Action means dealing with real problems and challenges. And when it comes to the occult and it comes to esoteric ideas, etc., I think that there's a lot that people, especially again in Western culture, don't know, and there's a lot of reality to a lot of.
I deeply apologize for interrupting you.
Sure.
And I just wanted to add the comment that in some areas, due to some popular beliefs, it's also highly stigmatized.
Exactly. And so we're doing our best to balance out. I've grown up around martial arts masters, and so some of the martial arts have deep occult backgrounds as well. And so, I've been fortunate enough to be able to see certain abilities from masters, etc., they're uncommon. And so because of seeing these uncommon abilities, I have an appreciation for the things that I may not fully understand. And I do my best to and what we're doing with JFH is doing our best to hold space for that appreciation, while also maintaining a sense of reality, of groundedness. And so when it comes to occult powers, and like, say, someone who's not from this world, etc., it's not that we're just super cautious about how we address that in the narrative, because I would rather leave room for interpretation than say this person is from another dimension, and because in character, it's going to be more challenging for me to say that as a reality-based action hero. But it's very much more easy for me to say, I'm not sure of what that person's doing, but they're valuable as a hero. And I don't know about what that person's doing, but they're doing it and it's working. So that's cool. And what that essentially does is it gives us space to grow the cinematic universe. And then maybe we start seeing in the cinematic universe, like, oh man, hold on, that person has a power, and so maybe we get to that place where there are really specific powers that we're articulating. And I think that when it comes to your story, that is your own story, the Ragdoll story, which crosses over into the Justice for Hire cinematic universe, but it's yours, it's owned by you, that story be as wild and as beautiful and as fantastic as you want it to be.
Because I do with later plans as later episodes, I'm quite good me and T are quite good draw the line between am I mystic, am I, as I say, or am I just quite missing a few screws, as they love to quite say.
Well, those questions are the exact questions that makes it interesting. And so I'm not sure if you follow comic books or not, but if so, how? So it's one of the most important things about the Thor character is that for a while people thought he was crazy, and they're like, especially when the Ultimates, like what essentially laid the foundation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe Avengers, when that was first coming out, people weren't sure if Thor was just a drunk or if he was actually a god of thunder. And that to me was a very, very interesting dynamic, because what that leaves us with is a sense of mystery and intrigue that we're seeking to explore. And I think that with your character, you just answered, you essentially just framed it the exact way we need to frame it right now, which is, who is she? Is she actually who she says she is, or is she something else? And
kind of like with, I'm sorry that I keep like going, ooh, look at seeing WWE, but I want to mention some of the characters I thought were quite cool, which kind of leads to how I look currently. You don't mind if I do that, do you?
Please talk about it.
I think characters I like Bray Wyatt, The Undertaker, like the old Star, like he doesn't do it now, but the old Stardust gimmick, like characters like Aleister Black, Miss Bliss's current gimmick. I do quite find them quite interesting. I just feel like you at least recognize one name on that list.
Yeah. So it's when just to be clear, that it seems like I want to make sure that I'm, because I learn every time we do a development call. So is it safe to say that a lot of your aesthetic has been pulled from pro wrestling?
Kinda. I also do just quite like the color black.
Yeah.
And I do lean in real life with studying certain parts of the occult. Because occult, well, I'm gonna cut my own self off. So kind of 50-50.
Okay, that's cool. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant, and I think that it's framing Ragdoll as an emotional support hero who dabbles heavily in the occult, who has a desire for her and her team to rise together as heroes and help more people, but who has a fear that she may not be prepared for all of the challenges that she might face by going on JFH missions, and even asking for some training in de-escalation, like all of that stuff to me puts together what I would call like a, you know, you can call it a character chart, call it a character matrix, but it puts together a bunch of interesting desires. And I think that foundationally, there's a question that I, as an audience member, like speaking now, would be asking is where is she from? And when you have this concept of, Ragdoll could be from another world. Well, even if she is from another world, what is that world like? And these are questions that you don't necessarily have to answer to me now, but they're questions that are very helpful for you to write down and answer for yourself. And potentially, if you would like, take an excerpt of that or take all of what you wrote and copy it, always save it in its own place, and then paste it into the JFH app, into your backstory on your profile.
I kind of did a long while ago where I'm like, okay, let's take all our memory, because half of this is a very blurry smoothie of a memory, and just throw it at the paper, and eventually we will not get something that looks like you just took alphabet soup out of paper.
Well, hey, you know, Radiohead's Kid A album was made with by pulling out, I think pulling out lyrics from a fishbowl, just different little sentences from a fishbowl. It's a brilliant album. So, but I do think that there's value in you just asking yourself those questions and writing it down and pasting it in a place where it's public facing, where specifically on the JFH app in your profile you have a backstory section. You can write a sentence there, or you can write paragraphs and paragraphs. But backstory is really, really important, and it can also always change. I think that the backstory right now, how solid it is going to be helpful for you as you create, but there's always some stuff that a writer doesn't necessarily show, and those things that might motivate certain character traits, behaviors, or just full characters themselves can always be adjusted as you go.
Yeah, because I keep like thinking characters and mention, because due to position when I'm filming, I still keep some of the boxes from my action figures, so like I can't actively see them. There's like, hey, I want to give this warning, or I want to make reference to this wrestler, and like, but I don't want to risk giving away too much yet, so I'll give a little mini warning. Don't get attached to the version of Ragdoll you currently see. She ain't going to turn out the same way by the end.
That's awesome. Well, I'd say this, that the one thing that I would love to, and maybe we'll make this into a challenge, and we might already have something similar on there on the journey challenges. I think we do. I think we have something that's about your greatest fear, and I think that if you haven't gone into the journey challenges yet, you know,
I'm not sure if I've done. Was the journey challenges would have been the first row, the second row, or the third row? Because I know one of the rows I've pretty much done every single one in there.
That's awesome. So that means we need to get you some more. On journey challenges is the first column, first tab that creates
I don't think I've done that. I haven't done really any of that. Now I know the third one I used to do back to back to back to back to back to back.
Okay, so I think that was development. I think you did do a lot of development challenges, and so the thing about the journey challenges, they work for any stage, any story, any part of your story, meaning that, you know, your story is potentially never ending. So you may want to tell the story of how Ragdoll grew up, or you may want to tell the story of I think right now the journey challenges can help you just tell your general, what is the general one story that if you had to tell anybody about Ragdoll, that you want to tell. And if you go through each one of those journey challenges one by one, starting with the first one of the hero pose, which I think you've already done, but then go to the setting, etc. And I think that you might even have something for the setting. But being able to shoot those, and to also, I highly recommend writing, doing a voiceover. The same way you might add music, like just you can use an app like Video Leap or anything like that, and just talk.
I do apologize once again for interrupting. That I had to sadly mute the audios. So the storyline, because originally those clips were filmed with audios off of TikTok, like parts and clues to like everything so far. Because I think that, because if we were to go through the whole timeline, Rag Doll wouldn't even be the starter. So it's like glimpses and clues of how did we start this roller coaster?
Well, I'll say this. However you do those, they're going to be helpful for you, and they're going to be helpful for other people too, because Justice for Hire is still fairly new, and the more our foundational heroes take on these challenges and the missions, the more other people are going to say, oh, okay, that's how it's done. And I think there's a lot of value in seeing your story, because you do have this mystery and this intrigue, and to getting a sense of it in greater detail is going to help everybody. But that said, I feel like, I want to make sure that you have I think that is a takeaway. Like a takeaway is like, go to the challenges section, go to the journey tab, and see what you haven't addressed yet. And if you look at each one of those in order, it's going to help you. If you shoot all those videos in order, you're going to have your own mini movie. That's the concept. Each one of those videos, each assignment helps you tell that part of the story for your hero's journey. So I think that's great. That's a great next step for Rag Doll. But you also gave me, and we'll have this video up tomorrow too, and you can watch it. But you gave some really amazing answers, again, on hopes and fears, on team, and on what you need now. And so I would keep on working on your core character ideas, the training that you have that makes you so mysterious and intriguing. And please let me know if there's any ideas that or anything else that any questions you might have that I could be helpful with.
There is one last question from what you brought up earlier with a lot of heroes. I remember one of them talking during one of the talks. Are there actually a lot of people who talk and compliment Moa?
Oh, are there actually? So yes, it's people, like, you're a very noticeable character. And so I think it's really cool that people have taken notice, and that you're a character that has come up in a lot of conversations, and so and we want to just make sure, again, speaking out of character, that when people create cool characters, that we can make sure that we're giving you the tools to tell that story of that character in the best way possible. And one of the things that's going to be helpful for you as well, and for everybody, is the fact that we're going to start live editing the season 1 of the series this week. And so this live editing, what we're going to be doing, what I'm personally going to be doing, is we'll be streaming it on Twitch. And then of course people will, it's going to be actual editing. I'm actually going to be cutting the series. So I'll be silent for a bit, but I'll be requesting and making new missions on the JFH app that are essentially around the content that we need in the series. So when it comes to saying, hey, are we going to see Rag Doll in the JFH series that is going to be the packaged product that we put out there, that is not just what's happening on our app and what's happening on social, but the actual packaged season. You being able to say, hey, oh, you need this scene? Well, I got that for you. I just shot it, and you send it in. And if it works into the cut, then that's great. So I love the idea of seeing. I want to see Ragdoll in the series, and I want to see like structure for all the heroes of coming together into this concept of a nationwide hero movement. So
I do apologize for cutting it again. The main reason why I was asking is because one of the reasons why I came when I found JFH was, ooh, this is interesting. I'll stand out here because I originally very much like alternate reality games. And I'm like, that's why I was so, especially with how originally characters were. I'm just so excited to know, like, ooh, people actually bring up my character. I'm not like lost in the void of existence. People actually notice I exist, like my stuff, and actually be willing to talk about me.
And that's as they should. And that's, again, we want to make sure, like, we're still we've been doing this for years, but it's also still so new because it takes a long time to build something sustainable. And when there's a lot of people that have joined us, especially in the last week, there's a lot of people that have joined us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because they joined that they're making content, and doesn't mean that just because they're making content that they're making it regularly. So there's all these different layers of what's called conversion, like who's really going the distance and being consistent, the consistency which you have.
I try
it's great.
I try my hardest, but with real life things and how unique my content is, I even have to go through missions like, are we able to film this in the weirdest manner possible?
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job, Ragdoll, and I'm inspired by you. Our team's inspired by you. The community's inspired by you. I'm really personally great. JFH is a dream come true for me personally, and the dream is only coming true because people like yourself have showed up and made characters. And so, doing this call with you is a dream come true. And I'm just massively grateful for you personally, for all the creativity you put in, and for you bring a very different tone to Justice for Hire that is much needed. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. And
I do not think, even like, once again, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you mentioned people talking about me and you talking about me like that. I don't think you can like understand how much that means to me.
Well, it's you're doing something meaningful, and it is the greatest compliment to hear you say that, for me personally. So thank you so much.
Half the stuff you've been saying towards them, same to you.
Oh. This is we're going to do a lot of great things together as a community, and it's going to be driven by people like you who stand up, who create original, like truly original ideas and share it, because that's what's going to make Justice for Hire and Real World, our the company we're building, the Justice for Hire is the first world of the first show. Like, that's the future.
I remember hearing you mentioned them and saying like, if it going successful, making other like genres like fantasy. Yes. I did quite ask, can I a little bit recommend one certain genre?
Sure.
Horror.
Yes. So horror is something that we know will be very popular. As a matter of fact, yeah, we're sure it's going to be very popular. That being said, again, with something like Justice for Hire, and for me as a creative myself, I had to start in the place where I knew the most people, and I know the most people when it
Yeah,
comes.
I understand that. I'm like, with how everything's supposed to end and a lot of the inspiration I take, if my character does jump ship to any other genre in real world shows, I see two places where my character would manage to magically appear.
Well, I'll say this: the vision for real world is for you to be able to move your character through different worlds. So Ragdoll can appear in lots of different worlds, but your power set, your attributes as a character would be adjusted per rules of the world. So in Justice for Hire, there's no lasers shooting out of the eyes. There's no Supermen flying around. It's more grounded in reality, but you might move to another world where that stuff exists, and then you might have those powers there. So I think that when it comes to genre, though, versus a world, because the world has rules, the genre might also have rules, but it's more about tone and feeling. You can still bring, and I think you already do this, and that's part of the reason you're so unique in Justice for Hire, is you can bring the horror tone to your Justice for Hire missions and stories. And I think what you've brought to this to date is very much an intriguing, mysterious, dreamlike tone that I once, myself and Mike Sandoval, who was the former chairman of the New York Film Academy, both of us thought that it was very similar to Federico Fellini, which is one of the most celebrated Italian filmmakers.
I've never heard it. When you brought him up, I never heard him in my life.
So I'm putting it in the chat right now. Federico.
Because we did eventually Google him.
So, and his eight
when you
and a
first
half.
brought him up, we didn't know who he was, because there was one other character I do take a bit of inspiration from, which would be like that copy, all that type of character stuff. So I take more inspiration when it was that type of stuff from if you know the concepts of certain storylines, a certain wrestler, and that probably like that type of space.
Well, take a look at Federico Fellini. I put it in the chat. Federico Fellini's 8.5, because your submission to the event last November was very, very reminiscent of that. And so, and it's a dense movie, but again, he's one of the most celebrated Italian filmmakers, and I highly recommend diving into some of his work.
I definitely will. I just wanted to mention to you that I'm like, when you brought him up, I'm like, I have no idea who in the world he's talking about.
Oh, it's okay. You know, these are we all learn different aspects of the artists that came before us, and you're definitely an artist, and you're definitely doing great work. And the more we see, the more you explore, the more we all benefit. So you know, I'm here whenever you need. Justice for Hire is here, and you know, if there are any other.
Because I do take inspiration, because one of the characters I take inspiration from, with, you don't mind if I explain one idea I have with how my character functions, because I tried to take inspiration so that due to where I live, it's easier to fit Ragdoll into the lore. But this is perhaps because I'm like, hey, we can kind of take an idea concept from like one of our favorite wrestlers. If we don't accidentally do what we do and accidentally copy too much, I don't copy too much and kind of just take inspiration using some of our characters, it might help us fit into lore, because I took inspiration from the Firefly Funhouse, a kid show.
Okay.
I was like, what if Ragdoll is in a kid show type of environment, interacting via the internet? And it's like allows her to have easier time, either making collaborations or even appearing in Justice for Hire, because she could like an episode could pop up on somebody's phone or something.
Thank you. I just looked up Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, you're probably gonna make a few tie-ins the more you like. These two things are a little bit similar.
Well, I will dive into that and educate myself there in a moment. But I think this has been a really phenomenal.
Because I definitely thought like, ooh, if I kind of take that type of idea, do you think that would help easier if Ragdoll were to make an appearance in the JFH universe? If I'm like too far away, I'd film kind of like the Ragdolls type of kid show episode to see if that would be a way for her to.
I don't think that's too far away at all. I think that your story, I think that and again we have to, I can't stress this enough, emphasize this enough, that your story, your source world, the Ragdoll's world, your source world as we'll call it, is your world. And whatever's happening in that world is phenomenal, and you should do it, whatever you feel is the right thing for that world. When we cross over onto JFH missions, and the ones especially that we're really considering for like to be referenced in and cut into the series, that's where the JFH universe rules really come into play. So, there's no rule that says, oh, this character can't have a quirky kids show, you know.
It's more like, I'm like, hey, say they're filming in like New York or something, and well, I am not near New York, and there's the ability for Ragdoll to pop up in the episode. Wouldn't it be, that would probably make it possible for her episode, like an episode to pop up on somebody's ooh, they're scrolling through and popping up on somebody's phone.
So that's characters are going to show up more often than not because of the missions they're shooting on their phones. And remember, in JFH, the phone is actually a character. So that means that you're using the app. The app is part of the shooting your mission is part of going on a mission in JFH, is actually like recording it and being in character in whatever you're dealing with. So it's going to be important to for us to have like footage from you that's shot on your phone in character. And you could be, if this is the phone, I'm like holding the phone, I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? Like that kind of stuff. So I would, again, as long as it fits in those universe rules, which are right on the app, you can read it right on the hamburger menu of the app. You'll see universe rules. It'll work.
I'm not like saying like trying to break the rule stuff. I do think that would fit, just because I was figuring, yeah, it's like if we were to make an appearance in the main, like easier appearance in the main timeline, that would probably make it a bit easier.
Maybe, but I'd say that there's two things we're working on, because one thing that we're working on, that's why we're on WeFunder right now. Anyone who's watching this, you can go to wefunder.com/realworld, REELWURLD, because we're doing an equity crowdfunding campaign. But one of the things that we're going to be producing with funds raised from that campaign, when people invest and own part of our company, is actually traveling around to different heroes and shooting in their environment and producing the next season of the show with heroes on, in front of the camera with the professional film crew, our team, etc. So right now we've only done that in New York. We've done some smaller shoots in Los Angeles, but then everything else is essentially around the country and around the world via phones. So, our next season will incorporate us being more mobile and going around to heroes. And the way we're really going to figure that out is how the content people have produced up to date. And so like, hey, is this hero really producing a lot of content? Is it fitting in with the story? Are we tying this content in already? Okay, cool. That means we're going to go and travel to that hero. So that's all stuff that we're working on now, and that we hope to have kicking off by the end of the year or early next year.
But hopefully I'll end up being able to be involved.
That's my hope too. And I think that's, one of the things we're doing here is just making sure that you feel equipped and that we're equipped to help you. So, you know, I'm really grateful. I do have to jump right now. I got to give my son a call, but really grateful, Ragdoll, for you, for all of your great work, for your the great character designs that you put together and shared. And like I said, you're just really inspiring a lot of folks just by being you. And so thank you so much for doing that and for being you know, making my dream come true with Justice for Hire. So thank you.
As you can tell from the fact that I am constantly stimming at this point, jumping up and down, I share the same reaction.
Thank you so much. And so, well, like I said, we'll post this tomorrow. I'll share it with you.
I'll
And just
definitely put some promotion on my Instagram, because the video I said that I filmed before was actually supposed to be almost like me trying to get people excited to watch this, like, ooh, something's coming up soon.
well, more and more will keep happening, and we're just going to keep on growing as a community, and it's going to be because of great characters like yourself. So thank you again, Ragdoll, and I hope you have a great night. And
I hope you and your son have a great night and an amazing tomorrow.
thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.